In this video, we're going to give you a tour of some of the features of the Aplos NCA website. So again, Aplos NCA is an API, so it's accessible through any medium that you want that can submit API requests. So you could use it through R, you can use it through SAS, you could use it through Python, virtually anything. We have created a web application that does many of the activities, that allows you to do many of the activities so you can get started, and it's an easy way for people to access it. So when you first log in, you're presented with this dashboard. So in the dashboard, you have some information about your allocation that's shown here at the top. And then you have recent analyses, which are the 5 most recent analyses that you've conducted, because that's maybe what you want, is you want to grab that analysis and move on. So how the allocation, first of all, we have an allocation or a number of analyses that are available with your annual subscription. If you exceed that amount, there's charges in excess of that. So in this case, I have 500 analyses. I've used 9, and so I have 491 left. So these other boxes show you how many remaining analyses you have, how many completed you have, and how many failed. Importantly, if you have a failed analysis, so that means an analysis where you attempted an execution and it did not successfully return results to you, those will be counted here. They do not count against your allocation. So only completed analyses count against your allocation. So this information is just presented here so that you know where you stand. Then you can look at your recent analyses. So in these recent analyses, there's some really good information. If you hover over the ID, this little icon here, that gives you the unique execution ID for that analysis. So that's the unique identifier that ensures Part 11 compliance with all the analysis results for that analysis. If you hover over the file, which is the input file, actually come down here so you can see the headers. So this is the unique identifier for this input file that was used in this analysis. So if you can see here, all of these files are named the same, but as I move down, you'll see slightly different unique IDs because these were uploaded separately. Even though it's actually the same file from my computer, each time I upload a file, an input file, we store it as a new file. And so if you want to make sure which file that I use on the analysis, this is an easy way to do it. Then it'll tell you the status, whether it was completed, whether it was failed. If it's in progress, it'll show some in progress status. There's a duration. This is the analysis duration, the time it took to do all the calculations and to prepare all the outputs. When it was completed, it'll tell you the version number. You can see I have different version numbers here where there were different versions used. And then there's 3 action buttons. So the first action button is to download. So this downloads the results to your computer. The audit copies an audit to your clipboard. So this gives all that information that I just talked about, the execution ID, the input file ID, the status, the time, all that information. You can just copy it to your clipboard and then you can paste it in a document if you need that. Or you can load the analysis for a new execution. So all this does is it takes the previous configuration that was used in this current analysis that I'm on, it loads it, you can make changes, and then run a new analysis. So it does not overwrite the prior analysis, it'll run a new one. So you can also click this View All, and this just takes you to your analysis history page. And on the analysis history page, it's the same thing, but it's all of the analyses that you've conducted in your account. So same information, same layout. There's buttons at the bottom here that can let you move through. If you have more than 20 analyses, there'll be multiple pages. So we also have the Run Analysis tab. So this is like a wizard that walks you through uploading a data set, doing the configuration, setting those settings, and then executing and downloading the results. So it's just a stepwise process to run an analysis. We also have an input data. So these are all of your input data sets. So these are all the data sets that have been uploaded. Again, you can see if you hover, you'll see the unique identifier for each of those data sets. You can see the size, the date and time it was uploaded. And we have 2 action buttons. One is an action button is a configuration. So this would actually bring up the configuration window. I'll show you. Brings up the configuration window, and then you can execute an analysis. This is probably the most common way to initiate an analysis. And this Data Explorer is this little graph will actually bring up a plotting window that will allow you to plot the data and review it and make sure that you have your settings right before you initiate your analysis. And so this is a Data Explorer that you can then start plotting your data and make sure that you have your analysis settings correctly. So this is the input data page. You can also upload data by either dragging and dropping here or just clicking here and opening a window and then selecting the data that you'd like to upload. The next thing is the validation history. So there's another video explaining how to do a validation. The validation confirms the accuracy of the calculations for Aplos NCA versus known results that are publicly available. You can do this at any time. There's no cost for these. They don't count against your allocation of runs. It takes about a minute or so to run them. But again, there's a unique ID, which is a validation ID. It gives you a status of pass or fail, the date and time it was run, the engine version, and then you can download the entire package or you can just download the report. Then we have two other links here that you can see. These are external links. So the documentation link takes you to our documentation site where you can look through documentation of a quick start, all the pieces about the API reference, documentation on how to use it, as well as examples. And we also have a support site. So you click the support center here and it takes you directly where you can enter your information to submit a support request. Then the last thing that we have is a need help, and you can click here and this will walk you through some of the items on the dashboard with an explanation of them. So you can manually walk through those, and it's sensitive. You can actually say, let me switch over to this one. We can say, hey, how do you upload? And so it's different for each page that you're on. So if you need help on a page, you can just click this little need help button. And last few items, you can change from light mode to dark mode or to whatever your system is set at with this button here. You can also update your account and go in and look at your account profile, manage your password, look at your API settings. If you're going to use R or SAS or some Python, you'll need to know your API settings so you can get them here. Another support link, and then again a logout link. And so that's a quick tour of the Aplos NCA website.